Hey, friends! Just so you know, we enjoy the swear word and we rely on good old fashioned humor to get through some seriously dark subject matter. At no time do we intend any disrespect toward the victims or families of the victims in the cases we cover. Also, be sure to listen to the end for a few palate cleansing bloopers to reset your mindset. And with that, we thank you for listening and we hope you enjoy.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Crime Will Tell. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Carrie.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's nice to see you.
Same to you. It's been a little bit.
It's been a bit, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way.
Right. And now this is officially the time of the year where there's a nip in the air along with the two in my shirt. And it's just fucking sweater weather and it's lovely.
I do like me some sweater weather.
I like to drink some bourbon when it's fall. Are you sipping on some bourbon over there?
Yes, I'm with my trusty old standby, Hazel Bay Aidenhay.
Mm-hmm.
I had to think about how to say that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's tricky. I'm still drinking some Elijah Craig small batch.
Oh, you still have some left. I'm proud of you.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Clink.
Little sip a sip.
This is a more recent case. So we're just going to go back a couple years to June of 2022 and to the beautiful state of Colorado. So this episode is about a 17-year-old girl named Riley Whitelaw who lived in Colorado Springs, Colorado with her mom, Courtney Whitelaw. They were like best friends. So these two even had matching tattoos that had been designed by Riley, which is super cool.
That is cool.
Courtney decided to name Riley because it means courage.
Oh, in what? In Irish? In English? Like
Swahili. I don't fucking
well,
know.
that's oh.
I don't know.
Okay. We're saying Riley means courage. Okay.
So, at the time of this case, Riley had just completed her junior year at Air Academy High School in Colorado Springs. And she was known to be just incredibly empathetic and kind, someone who just really stood up for the underdogs, and a quiet but confident leader. She was always smiling, and she was known by her principal and other people close to her as Smiley Riley because she just like emanated this just like positive vibe to everyone. She got straight A's in school. She volunteered at the Humane Society, and she had a dog named Judy, which I fucking love.
I love it when people give human names to their animals.
Exactly.
I think that's hilarious.
Yes, me too.
Because I just want to be in a dog park and I just want to be like, Kevin!
Yeah. Jeff!
Come here!
Jeff,
come
on.
Jeff.
So, anyway, she had a part-time job at a Walgreens, which, if you're not familiar, is a national drugstore chain here in the US. I don't know if there are other places, but they're fucking everywhere here. And she was also part of the Color Guard, which I knew to be our flag team in high school that performed with the marching band. You know, they like were the marching band at football games and parades and whatever. And the Winter Guard. So the Winter Guard is basically just the Color Guard that performs indoors for basketball games and
but still with flags and such.
Right. But they do like, dancing and have flags and do all kinds of cool shit.
It takes skill to do that.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
That's no joke. And those flags are heavy.
Yeah, I would have so many cuts on my face if I even tried once to do it. It is very impressive what these people can do.
I would not have any eyeballs left.
And neither would anyone around me. So, and she was actually going to be named the co-captain of the Color Guard for her upcoming senior year. So this was something she was very passionate about. She had started looking into colleges and she had hopes of studying to be a genetic researcher, which I think is cool as shit.
That is.
She was also a talented artist. She loved to draw, she played guitar. This girl was awesome.
Yeah, she really had a lot of talent.
Yeah, and I don't have children as an absolute choice, but if somebody was like, "Jamie, you have to have a kid," I would pick someone like
Riley.
Riley.
Yeah,
She
for sure.
seems badass and like the type of kid that you could just hang out with.
Oh, this is
She
gonna
was
suck.
a parent's dream. So, like I mentioned, Riley had a part time job at Walgreens where she worked as a cashier. And so she started working there in 2021 when she was 16. I mean, this wasn't like the most exciting or ideal job for her, but it was a way to make money and it was really close to her house. So she actually liked working there, except for one thing. And that thing was her coworker, 28-year-old Joshua Taylor Johnson, who was already an employee at the store when she started working there. Not long after she started her job, he began making inappropriate sexual comments and unwanted advances toward Riley,
That
and
is
just
disgusting.
being super creepy and not respecting her personal space. Now, this is like an almost 30-year-old man
Right.
talking to a teenage girl, which is
16 years
just
old.
super icky. And he would say things to her like, "I'm going to ask you out when you're 18." Riley told a friend that he would get really close to her, almost kind of brushing up against her,
Oh.
and he even allegedly smacked her on the ass one time when they were working together. Like, she wasn't able to sell cigarettes, and I don't know if they sold alcohol, but there were times that she would have to call in older members
Mm,
of the Walgreens team to check stuff, and I feel like those were the moments that maybe he would have taken advantage and, like, tried to kind of, like, creep
mhm.
in as close. Ugh.
So, obviously, he was a pedophile.
Yeah. So Riley had made a complaint to her manager following an incident where Johnson allegedly walked up to her and said, "I bet you like to be choked."
Whoa.
I mean, who fucking says that? And fortunately, another coworker of theirs witnessed this incident. They kind of walked away, like not wanting to get super involved, but later told Riley that, you need to like report that to
Yeah.
management. And they even said, like, look, if you need me, I will be present during that meeting and like I'll be a witness to what happened because that's not cool. So Riley spoke with one of her managers in December of 2021. Johnson had been warned at that time, to keep his behavior professional in the workplace. However, any adjustments to his behavior appeared to be really short-lived. Like, I think he probably behaved a little bit after that initial conversation, but then was like couldn't help himself.
Mhm.
Riley was 16 and 17 years old while all of this was taking place. And just her being an incredibly sweet person and not the kind of person who wanted to rock the boat in any way, she certainly didn't want to get anyone in trouble or fired.
Mm,
And truthfully, not a lot of teenagers would know how to handle this situation. I absolutely hate it for her that she might have felt like she needed to just deal with his gross behavior to not cause any issues
mhm.
in the workplace when she was absolutely not the problem.
Right.
I also feel like this is a situation where someone maybe mistook someone being kind to them as being much more than that.
Mm. Mhm.
And I think that most of us have had situations where being friendly with someone at work or school or whatever situation we might have been in was mistaken as flirting or
Yep.
being interested in someone romantically, and I could be totally wrong, but Joshua Johnson did not seem like a total baller that got a lot of attention from ladies.
Mm.
I just get the sense that he thought that Riley's kindness meant that she was maybe interested in him, or that he somehow had the right to cross that line into inappropriate town with her, which he absolutely did not.
Do we know if she rebuffed his advances or did she just kind of go, stop? Do
I
you know what I
don't know.
mean?
I think that she was just such a kind, sweet girl and young. Like, she was so much younger than him that I feel like she probably just was like, even had kind responses into to his very, very inappropriate
Yeah.
responses to her.
She didn't have the life skill or experience yet to understand what was happening, probably. I'm speculating. I don't know, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, us in our 40s would have been like, "Look, dude, you wanna fucking hang out some night? Let's do it, but I am not interested in you 1 fucking percent."
Yep. So you're saying I have a chance.
But yeah, it's just like she was young, she was a baby, she didn't know how to navigate these situations where we know decades into life that you can just be like, "I don't wanna fucking date you."
And even then, there are people out there that they will not take no for an answer. They're a dog with a bone and they will not drop it. Restraining orders, getting arrested for harassment, a lot of times that stuff doesn't deter those kinds of people.
Yeah. And like I said, I think we've all probably dealt with situations or at least witnessed
Yep.
situations exactly like this. And I just want to go in and be like, Riley, I got you.
Yeah.
Joshua, get the fuck away from her. You
Yeah.
fucking turd. Run along. So things seemed to get worse in March of 2022 when Jacob Leacock was hired to the store. He had previously been a customer of the store, and there was an obvious connection between him and Riley. When he would come in, they would kind of get flirty, and it was super
Oh.
cute. The two started dating, and she actually helped him get a job at the store where she worked.
And how old was Mr. Jacob?
I think they were the same age. I couldn't find it.
Okay.
I couldn't find it anywhere, but I think that he was
He was
around
around her
her.
age. Got
Yeah.
it.
So other employees at the store noticed that Johnson seemed incredibly jealous of their
Mm.
relationship. Not a shocker. And Jacob stated in an interview later on that Johnson appeared to be angry during shifts where they worked together. And overall, it seemed like the other employees really liked Jacob and enjoyed working with him, which probably really pissed Johnson off.
Absolutely.
So, as the work environment became more tense and uncomfortable for Riley, she asked her manager, Justin, to not be put on the same work schedule as Johnson.
Fair.
So, Riley had then also asked to get more hours at the store in the spring of 2022. And I think that this was just because it was kind of the end of the school year. Summer was
Mhm.
around the corner. She was going to be
Yeah.
more free, wanted to pick up more shifts. But she was told that if she wanted to get more hours, unfortunately, she would have to work some shifts with Johnson, that it would be unavoidable with a small staff.
Makes sense.
I get that portion of it, but how about you fire the creep who grabs minors' butts while they're working and who is creating an unsafe work environment and hire someone to take his place? I don't know.
Yeah, in 2022, there should have been a tolerance policy at Walgreens when it comes to sexual harassment because that's what this was. She
Yes,
told him to
exactly.
stop. It was reported to management, and he still didn't stop. So then the second time it was reported to management, it shouldn't have gotten to a third time, right? Johnson should have been fired. There should have been a zero tolerance policy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but when a minor comes to you and is like, "Please do not put me on the schedule with this person,"
Your first question should be like, all right, what's going on?
and
Let's
your
talk.
first priority should be the minor.
Yep. Kind of a shame.
She really wanted to get more hours to be able to make some more money that summer and possibly even advance at the store, so she chose to stay and agreed to work
Mm.
some of those shifts with Johnson. On Saturday, June 11th of 2022, Riley was working the late shift at Walgreens, and her precious little boyfriend Jacob wasn't working that day with her, but he did drop her off at the store. after the two had purchased a Polaroid camera so they could take pictures together.
Aw.
Right? I mean, how fucking cute are
That
they?
is cute. That's young puppy love, I love that.
So he dropped her off for her shift. Unfortunately, Joshua Johnson was working with her that day, along with store managers Justin Zanino and Crystal Ishmael. So at 5:28 that evening, Riley clocked out to take her just normal break. And so she went to the employee break room in the back of the store. And I'm not really sure how long these breaks were. It didn't ever say, but I'm guessing maybe 15 minutes just based on the
Yeah,
timeline of this. I think it was for a shorter shift, probably just a 15-minute break that she just went
sure.
back to check her phone, text her boyfriend, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Crystal, who was the manager that day, became really concerned when Riley hadn't returned back from her break. So, like, enough time had passed that she was like, what the fuck? And Joshua Johnson, was missing too. So she's like, what in the hell is going on? She tried calling both of them, but was getting no response. So she ended up calling the other manager, Justin, who I don't know what he was doing or where he was, but he wasn't in the store at that time because she wasn't really sure how she was supposed to handle the situation. Riley was obviously a very, very reliable employee, and it was not like her to just not return from a break.
I mean, and that's telling, like, Crystal's initial response wasn't responsive, "God damn it, she's taking too long of a break, she's gonna get in trouble for this." No, her initial first response was, "I'm worried something's wrong." That's an indication as to what a reliable and good worker Riley was.
And so she was just like, I've called, like, I don't know what to do. So she called this other manager and was like, look, two of our employees now are missing, and I don't know where they are or what's going on. So Crystal was like, I'm gonna, she decided that she would just go out and look for Riley outside of the store, see if she was on her phone, if something had happened, and thought maybe she had decided to take out the trash. So she started walking toward the dumpsters that were outside of the building, and I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that this was a dumpster area. Like, you can see behind a lot of businesses, that have like the little fenced
Yeah.
area around them with a door to access it. So when she tried to push the door open, she hit somebody and she heard a voice say that someone was changing.
In the dumpster area?
Yeah. So she tried to push the door open to get into the dumpster area, hit someone, and they were like, ah, someone's in here. I'm changing. Like it was a fucking
Occupado!
Yeah, like it was a department store and they were trying to like slacks. Like someone's in
Holy
here.
cow.
So fucking weird. So she was like, okay. And she wasn't able to see who it was. But while she was out there, she noticed that there was a really, really strong smell of bleach coming from the area. So she's like, what the fuck is going on? So the other manager, Justin Zanino, arrived back at the store. This was right around 6 o'clock. And Crystal told him, she was like, I just had this like weird incident by the dumpster. And so Justin went out to investigate, but nobody was there. Whoever had been in the dumpster area was gone. But he did see that there was a bottle of bleach on the ground by the dumpster. Justin Zanino then decided to check the store's surveillance footage to see kind of what Riley had been up to see if they could
Smart.
figure out what had been going on. But while he was watching this video, he saw Joshua Johnson doing some really weird shit. He could see him like stacking some bins in front of one of the cameras in the store stock room. The camera actually faced like the rear exit of the building. It was like he was trying to stack these bins to block the camera.
Mm,
These were bins that I don't know if they were like the ones that have like the two lids that fold
sure.
inside or if they had an actual lid, but typically they were stacked empty inside one or the other. But he was stacking them with the lids on them as high as they would possibly fucking go
Mhm.
to try and block this camera, which was just very strange. Zanino was like, what in the hell is he doing? So he was like, I'm going to go check in the break room, which honestly, I don't know why that wasn't the first fucking
I was
place that people looked for
just gonna
her.
ask that. Yeah.
Anyway, he decided to go take a looky-loo, and on his way to look for her, he noticed that on the door of the break room that somebody had put, like, paper or cardboard or something to block the window of the door,
Oh,
so they couldn't
okay.
see in, and there was also a sign that had been set out that said "restroom closed" because the bathroom was in that area too, and this typically was set out towards the end of the night as they were closing when the bathroom got cleaned. They would set that sign out to keep people from going in. So it was very strange that it was set out in the middle of a shift. So
Hmm.
he's like, what the fuck is going on? But he goes to the break room. And when he opens the door, he found Riley lying on the floor and there was blood everywhere. He immediately backed out of the room, and at 6:55 p.m., he ended up calling 911. Police arrived at the store shortly after at 7:02 p.m., so they were there super quickly. And based on the reports by the responding officers, there was tons of blood on the floor and there was obvious trauma to Riley's head. She had stab wounds to her neck, her face, her chest, and her arms, and there was just blood on the floor, the cabinets, the counter in the break room. There was obviously like some sort of struggle that took place in that room. A name badge and the earpiece for one of the radios that the Walgreens employees used to communicate with each other was found on the floor next to her, as well as a bloody multi-tool that had the blade out.
Did it have blood on it? Like, was that the knife that was
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Crystal, the manager, had told police when they arrived about the encounter that she'd had with the mystery man by the dumpsters. And she told them that she was pretty sure that it was Johnson because she thought she had recognized his voice. A customer who was shopping in the store had told police that she thought she heard screaming and loud noises from the back of the store around 5:30 while she was shopping that day. At the time, she hadn't really thought much of it. I think she was kind of like, am I hearing something? Maybe not, but she continued her shopping, checked out, left the store. But after she left, she ended up driving back by the store and she saw a flood of police cars. And just something in her told her that she needed to stop and speak with investigators. So thankfully, she decided to come back to the store and she told police, about what she had heard while she was in the store, which kind of helped them with their timeline.
Did you say that she heard these screams at 5:30
It was around 5:30, yeah.
and Riley had clocked out at 5:28
Yeah,
to head back there? So whoever it was, wink wink nudge nudge, I think we know, was lying in wait.
yeah. So after Riley's body was found, Joshua was still missing from the store. So they're like, where the fuck did he go?" And when they did a search of the break room, all the employees had lockers where they could keep their personal stuff, and they found an empty sheath in his locker that matched the multi-tool that was found next to Riley's body. Also, the name tag that was found next to her on the floor belonged to Joshua.
Mm.
They also found pieces of paper that had Riley and her boyfriend Jacob's names, their social security numbers, their home addresses, birthdays, and even the combinations to their lockers in the employee break room.
Wait, where was that piece of paper found?
In his locker in the break room.
Why did he even take the time to block the security camera then?
I don't know. So this was obviously like super covert, and I'm not sure what he was planning on doing with that information, but it seemed very obvious that he kind of had his sights set on this couple.
Mhm.
So obviously with all of this, Joshua became the prime suspect.
Mhm.
And so police went to his house to search for him, but he wasn't there. They did, however, find bloody clothes that he had changed out of, and probably his very confused mother because he lived with his mom still.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Cool. But when they did their search, police actually found footage from their home. I don't know if it was like a Ring doorbell or whatever the fuck it was, but they found some footage of the house that showed Joshua arriving there, and he seemed to be really, really frantic. Like he was really in a hurry, and he could be seen leaving the house just minutes after he'd gotten there. And he was holding what appeared to be some water and some other items. I'm guessing they were probably snacks. But
Hmm. Road trip.
and it was pretty obvious. He was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. What do I
Mm-hmm.
need? Just scrambled, changed his clothes, got what he needed, and like bolted. What's extra heartbreaking in this case, like there's so many things, but this really got me, was that Riley's mom, Courtney, I don't know if Riley didn't drive or if she just didn't have a car or what the situation was, but her mom, Courtney, arrived at the Walgreens at 8 o'clock that night to pick up Riley after her shift. And when she got to the parking lot, she saw a sea of police cars. And that is how she found out that her daughter had been killed.
You're fucking joking.
No. I think she probably was like, oh God, did they get robbed?
Yeah. And then she
What
finds out
happened?
that her daughter was brutally murdered in the break room. And
Yes.
nobody had the presence of mind to be like,
Mm-mm.
you know what we should probably do? We should probably contact Riley's mom. That's a trauma in and of itself. I can't even imagine how she must have been feeling at that moment. Oh my God, that's horrifying.
And in that moment, also to just be like in a parking lot with no one to console her that she knew. You know what I mean? Like to just be in a public space with strangers.
Yeah.
And as far as Riley's family goes, like in her obituary, there was a mention of her mother, Courtney, having a long term partner
Okay.
of like 6 years or something, but there weren't any other siblings. It didn't say anything about her father,
Okay.
whatever. And so I just picture her mom alone in that
Mm.
moment, and it just breaks my fucking heart.
Mm. My God.
There's conflicting reports on this, but it was either the next day or later that night. I'm assuming maybe it was super early in the morning, which is where the confusion lies.
Hmm.
But sometime not long after the murder, Joshua Johnson was arrested by Colorado State Patrol officers when he was seen walking along Interstate 25 near Trinidad, Colorado, which is about like 100 miles south of Colorado Springs. The arresting officers noticed that he had scratches on his hands and his face, which you can see in his, I gotta say, incredibly sexy mugshots, along with some weird fucking haircut that he apparently tried to give himself. Like I don't know what the fuck happened to his head, but he seriously looks like he tried to trim his hair, but like the guard fell off and then it went down to his scalp in spots. It's very
Okay.
similar to like the shit grooming job that I give my dog with her free at home haircuts, where she has like pieces that are like 3 inches long and then it's to the skin. Anyway, he told the officers that he had been attacked at the Walgreens where he worked, which is where the scratches on his body had come from, and that he was scared and he ran from the store. So he said that he had been in the break room, but only after Riley had been attacked by someone else. He
What?
told police that he was in the bathroom of the store when he heard screaming. So he ran to the break room, and I'm really hoping that he washed his hands because he really seems like a big time workplace pooper. And he said that when he opened the door, he saw someone attacking Riley, and this was like a masked man with blue eyes. And this goddamn hero just turned and ran. He didn't try to help Riley. He just decided to bolt instead of protect her. but not before he slipped and fell in all of her blood, which is how he got blood all over him, thus why he needed to go to the dumpster area and try to change his clothes. I don't know what clothes he was trying to change into. Because unless his mom sent him with a change of clothes like they do in pre-K in case a kid shits their pants, I don't know that he had an extra set of clothes at Walgreens to change into. So I don't know what he was doing. I think he just panicked and was like,
Could he have brought clothes with him in anticipation of doing this to her? Because schedules are
maybe,
published. He would have known in advance of his schedule that Jacob wasn't working and he was working with Riley. So maybe he brought a change of clothes.
maybe he didn't change his clothes. We'll get into
Oh,
it. Yeah.
oh,
So it's like I don't know what he was doing.
oh, okay. I see why you're hung up. All right. I'm hung up too now.
But even after police, like, were showing him footage of him moving bins to block cameras and just do all this stuff, he was like, "No, I didn't."
Oh, that's not why I was moving the bins. I was cleaning the stock room.
Yeah, okay, turd face, whatever. He even tried to pin Riley's murder on the friend of one of the Walgreens employees who had been in the store earlier that day. I believe it may have been the manager Crystal's friend, and they like this guy brought her a coffee. I think he was kind of like, I'm going to use
Was this
that
the blue eyed
guy.
masked man that nobody can find on the security tapes?
Police looked into it, and he was like, within like, I don't know, 4 seconds, probably cleared of any involvement.
Mm,
Anyway, he then went to his house where he lived with his mommy to actually change his clothes.
mm. Okay.
And then in a panic, he just started driving because he was scared that the man who attacked Riley was going to come after him. So scared that he just fled and potentially left his mom in serious danger. What an asshole. So he then tried to hide his car and started walking along the interstate before he was discovered by police. This guy sucks at being sneaky. So police ended up arresting him and they found his car parked under a railroad trestle off of a small road that I think was probably unlit, just like a small road that he thought like I can dump it here.
Hmm.
So he left his car there and then just started walking, which is when the police found him. Which, dude, don't walk along a goddamn interstate if you're trying to be sneaky.
Yeah, that's super obvious. Was he trying to hitchhike?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he was just like, well, I got my car dumped. Now I gotta go. And just started walking.
So he didn't really have a plan. He just was
No.
like, I have to just get away from here.
Yeah, it was all very much just like panic mode and really dumb decisions that followed.
Which is odd because everything I'm hearing, I'm inclined to believe that he planned to kill her that night.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Half of it seems like really premeditated, and then the other half is
Yeah,
like he just like
haphazard.
was like frantic and just
Mm.
so they found his car, and then when investigators looked inside, there were bloody bandages and tissues, and they found a bunch of like disposable razors, which I don't know if he was just trying to like cut his hair while he was driving to disguise himself. So I don't know what he was trying to do, but it didn't work. He had taken the floor mats out of his cars, probably to conceal, any blood that he may have tracked from the store into his car. They also found some UV flashlights that they later figured out he had ordered using the manager of the store, Crystal Ishmael's Amazon Prime account.
How did he get into her account?
Well, we'll get into that too.
Okay. Oh my God.
So these were most likely used to look for blood and make sure that he wasn't leaving any traces of anything behind. So this guy was like sloppy and unorganized, which made it seem like it could have been a spur of the moment attack. Why would he choose to kill Riley inside of a store where there are always people and cameras watching everything going on inside of the store? But then there were also things that made it seem incredibly premeditated, like the papers that were found in his locker with Riley and Jacob's personal information written on them. It was obviously he was targeting them.
Mhm.
I'm completely speculating, but it kind of seems to me like he wanted to do something to hurt both of them, but like nothing had really been planned. But I just get the sense that maybe something happened that day while they were working that set him off and he just snapped.
Mm.
Again, speculation, but it didn't seem all that thought out, and it seemed like he was in more of a panic after he did everything
Mhm.
instead of trying to kind of cover his tracks in advance like he would have done if he was planning this out.
Yeah. Like, he took the floor mats out of his car to get rid of evidence, but yet his dirty bandages were still in the car.
Yeah, and he left his bloody clothes at his house and just
Yeah, he was not thinking clearly because he no longer could think clearly. And I've heard, like, just watching a bunch of true crime shows and just all this, immersion into true crime that you and I do for this podcast. I mean, one of the things that we hear regularly is once an offender takes a life, it's like they can't think straight
Mhm.
because whether they like it or not, they get a flood of emotions and, fight or flight hormone or whatever. You can't think of all the details. It's very difficult for most people, not for all, but for most.
Right.
So I'm speculating that that might be what was going on. I wonder if he attacked Riley inside the Walgreens because he felt like otherwise there would be no way to get her alone. She didn't drive. It would be different if she drove and when she ended her shift, she walked out to her car in the parking lot alone. Do you
Right,
know what
that's
I
true.
mean?
Yeah, that's
But she
totally
was
true.
dropped off. She was in the store the whole time. She was picked up. There would be no opportunity for him to do it outside of the store.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think he just saw a window and took it, and then he was, like, scrambling
Hmm.
after that to try and cover his tracks. So, following an autopsy completed by Dr. Jared Murdoch, it was revealed that Riley had been stabbed 42 times, and the wounds appeared to be from a single edged knife blade. She had 16 defensive wounds on her hands from trying to fight off her attacker. Later, he testified during Johnson's trial that the deep lacerations to her neck are actually what caused her death, and that he thought that Riley would have died quickly from those injuries. So she fought really hard for her life, but fortunately, it didn't seem like she suffered very long, which is good, I guess, but 42 fucking stab wounds is
How was he able to do that in the break room without anybody walking in?
because if there weren't that many people working, they were probably covering.
That's true. One breaker at a time. Yep.
So the multi-tool that was found in the break room next to Riley's body was tested and he came back positive with DNA for both Riley and Joshua Johnson.
Okay.
His DNA was found under Riley's fingernails, and Riley's blood was found on the clothes Johnson wore that day that they found at his house. So he ended up being charged with first degree murder. And during a preliminary hearing, he pleaded not guilty to the charges. Like, come on, dude.
I always laugh about that, but I wonder if, lawyers and public defenders say, regardless if there's three
Right.
smoking guns that you just talked about. Regardless of the smoking guns, you should always plead not guilty to
Right.
start.
They're always going to try. So his trial ended up being delayed due to two competency evaluations that were requested by his defense, both of which determined that he was competent to stand
Yeah,
trial.
because he fucking tried to hide what he did.
Mhm.
He knew what he did was wrong and he ran and he tried to
Yeah.
hide.
Like, you're
Yeah.
not crazy, Joshua.
No, you knew what you did was wrong,
Yeah.
fucker.
So during his trial, the prosecution laid out the events that took place in the Walgreens the day that Riley was killed. And most of these were supported by the surveillance video from inside the
Yeah.
store. So they could, like, minute by minute see when things happen.
Yep.
So Riley could be seen on camera clocking out for her break and then walking to the employee break room. A few minutes later, Joshua Johnson could be seen following her.
Mhm.
Around 5:39 p.m., the girl who heard the screams while she was shopping, they could actually see her reacting to the noises.
Oh.
Like, she was kind of like looking towards the back of the store, like, what the
Oh, that's fucking eerie.
fuck was it, right?
Oh.
They were like, okay, that was the moment she heard the screams and the banging.
And that was 5:39?
Yeah, and so they were able
Okay.
to, like, pinpoint those moments, and right after that, Johnson could then be seen on the camera moving those crates to try and hide what he had done, covering the window on the break room door, hanging the restroom sign, and I'm not sure why he was trying to block the cameras after he had, like, already killed her.
Yeah.
When I first read that, I assumed that it happened before.
That's what I assumed as well when you were telling the story.
His clumsy ass, like, actually bumped into his crate fort that he had created, like, as he was trying to gracefully flee from the store, because he, like, bolted out the back door and tried to go to
Mhm.
the dumpster. So he, like, panicked, bumped into this fort wall, or the crate wall that he had built, ran out the back door, and then went to the dumpster area, and that was when the manager, Crystal, had seen him out there, and he was like, "I'm changing." Just the whole thing was so fucking weird. And I really don't know what he was trying to do with the bleach.
Yeah, out there, I don't know. Maybe he thought he could pour bleach on his clothes and it would eradicate the blood?
Maybe, but I don't know why being covered in bleach would be better than being covered in blood.
I
But
don't know.
I'm not a criminal mastermind like that genius. So I don't,
Mm,
as far as motive goes, it seemed pretty fucking clear that this was jealousy,
mm,
like, over Riley's relationship with
mhm.
Jacob. But Joshua told police that he didn't have a crush on Riley, that he was now interested in Crystal, the manager of the store, and that they actually had an intimate relationship.
Nope. All he did was he killed Riley and then he turned his attention to another woman.
Well, and so when Crystal Ishmael was questioned, she actually admitted that they had kissed before,
Oh,
and
oh shit.
that they did have plans to go to the movies together the night of the murder, but it didn't seem like she was really all that interested in him. Also, even if she was, like, super into this guy, why would she admit it at this point? I mean, I would wanna distance myself from this motherfucker as far as I fucking could.
At least she was being truthful with the police. Maybe he was trying to start things up with Crystal because he already knew in his head he was going to murder Riley.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm speculating. The whole thing is a fucking pot of, what do you call it? A pot of shit stew?
Yeah. Shit stew. Yeah, I don't wanna sound like an asshole when I talk about this guy, but it just seems like he was awkward, and it seemed to me like his world was very small.
Mm.
So he lived at home with his mom, which is fine,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
but it kind of seemed like he maybe didn't have much of a life outside of his home with his mom and his work life.
Yeah.
And that if it was like, well, if I can't have Riley, maybe I'll be interested in Chris. Like those were the
Yeah.
places that he had. And
Yeah.
it just seemed like he was a very isolated, and he probably didn't have a big social life outside of work, and maybe I'm totally wrong, but
Yeah. Well, if you're not, isolation can be pretty harmful in the wrong kind of psyche.
yeah. And again, that just, like, adds to the fact that, like, when Riley was probably really sweet to him because she was a sweet person, he took it as
She's so into me.
She's flirting with me. She's really into me. It's like, no, she's
Uh,
16 fucking years old, dude.
she's just trying to be nice,
Yeah.
respectful of a coworker.
Ugh. Like I said, his trial was delayed, but once it got started, they ended up playing some voice messages from Riley that she had left for one of her friends. And
Oh.
in these voice messages, she said that she was really creeped out by Joshua Johnson, but she didn't want to get anyone in trouble. Like that was her focus always, was not wanting to stir the pot, not wanting to cause any drama.
Mm.
And she was nervous about going to management at that point because of like about the, the ongoing harassment that she was getting from Johnson because of her, like, the increasing relationship that Johnson and their manager Crystal were having. So, like, as she saw these two
Mm.
spending more time together and getting closer, she was like getting more nervous about being able to go to management. She was like, am I
Yeah.
going to get fired if my manager who's dating this guy that's harassing me? It just was, my heart just breaks for this girl. So, and in one message, she was anxious about one particular shift where she and Johnson were going to have to close the store together, like just the two of them.
Mm.
So she was really worried about that. She was like obviously scared of this dude.
Yeah.
I can get that maybe with a small staff, they were going to have to work some shifts together. Like, I get that that was probably unavoidable, but the two of them having to close the store together alone, I feel like that could have been avoidable.
But if Johnson is dating Crystal, she's gonna just inherently not think that there's anything wrong with him.
But I don't know that they were.
Oh, but Riley thought they were, and that was enough to keep her from like, going to
Yeah, like
management.
they were just hanging out. But again, it was like, and she admitted that they'd kissed, but was it just like a one-time thing and they just were friends? I don't know.
I don't think Crystal did anything wrong here, but
No.
she probably feels an immense blanket of guilt, I bet. If I were
Right.
her, I would.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So Johnson's defense bleh. Johnson's defense attorney, Jonathan Stafford, argued in court that Riley and Joshua Johnson were both victims in this case. No.
What?
Yeah. That they both had been attacked in the Walgreens break room, but he was able to flee.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah. Hilarious that the footage doesn't show that at all. It supports the
Yeah.
absolute opposite. On October 4th of 2023, after the jury deliberated for barely an hour, Joshua Johnson was found guilty of first-degree murder for killing Riley Whitelaw. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Excellent.
As the verdict was read, he showed no emotion and just stared straight ahead. He had through the entire trial. He was just very like, whatever. Even as his mother was sobbing right behind him in the courtroom.
Mm.
So, just months before the trial in May of 2023, Riley should have graduated from high school. And at the graduation ceremony, her mom, Courtney, accepted Riley's diploma in her memory.
I love that.
I've heard like audio of the graduation ceremony, and it was like they went nuts, like standing
That's cool.
ovation. It was just
Yeah.
crazy. And as she walked across the stage, she carried Riley's favorite stuffed animal.
Oh, that's awesome.
So obviously there has been a lot of scrutiny towards Walgreens regarding the handling of Johnson's inappropriate behavior towards
Yeah.
Riley.
Thank you for getting back to that.
Yeah, so following the murder, a spokesperson for Walgreens issued an emailed statement. They said, "We are very saddened by this tragic incident and extend our deepest condolences, thoughts, and prayers to the family and loved ones of our team member. The safety of our customers and team members is top priority, and we are working with local authorities in their investigation. We are making counseling and other resources available to are store team members at this location, which is great, but it didn't really address
Yeah, the
the issue
deeper.
at hand.
Yeah.
So it's great that they took the complaint from Riley and spoke with Johnson initially about his inappropriate behavior, but I have a really hard time when a grown man is making really gross comments to a minor. I feel like additional steps should have been taken by management. Even if it was just follow-up conversations with Riley to make sure that things had improved, making sure that she wasn't alone with him during shit. Like, I don't know, but it just kind of seemed like they took that initial complaint, addressed it, he seemed receptive, and then they're like, "Okay, cool." And it's like, did that get filed in a drawer just at that location? Did it make it to area management, like a regional? Like, it didn't really say what other steps were taken, but it seemed like it kind of just was handled initially, and then that was the end of it.
Under the rug.
Damn. So I wanted to end the episode with some positive
Oh,
things.
lovely.
Riley was incredibly loved, and because of that love and the amazing light that she shone on everyone around her, some good things actually happened as people wanted to kind of keep her light shining.
Okay.
So, on May 23rd of 2023, Riley's Law, which was signed into effect by Governor Jared Polis of Colorado, the law was created to protect the identity and information of children who are victims or witnesses of crimes. And this was intended to place the rights of families to have privacy over the public's right to information.
Mm,
And so minors will no longer have their names released in public records in the state of Colorado. Like
that's
their
great.
names and their personal information will be redacted.
Yeah.
This stemmed from a lot of Riley's family and her friends who were also young and minors learning about her murder by seeing it on the news.
That is
And
just devastating.
yeah, I can't imagine how hard it would have been for other young people to see their friend's face plastered
I can't either.
everywhere while they're grieving.
I can't either.
So, this was a huge step to protect the young people in that state, and I think that that's really
That's
incredible.
awesome. It's a goddamn shame that people have to be killed to put these kinds of laws in place,
Right,
but
and I mean, of course, there's exceptions, and if the family chooses to
sure.
release the victims' names or whatever, but it gives the protection of the family over
Mhm.
just nosy people wanting to know details, and so
Yeah,
I
it
think
puts
that
the
that
power
is
in the family's hands.
also, I think this is amazing. In 2022, so not long after Riley was killed, the Riley I. Whitelaw Memorial Fund was created in her memory with the support of her friends, her family, and her community. According to the fund's website, Riley was a true empath who had the ability to make those around her feel seen and heard. Her smile instantaneously made you feel at ease. Although Riley was taken from us, she lives on through all of us that we believe, as she believed, kindness matters. There is no better way to honor Riley and what we believe she would want, and that is to help other kids just like her in realizing their dreams and potential. The Riley I. The Riley I. Whitelaw Memorial Fund grants scholarships to high school seniors who carry the same qualities as Riley. And so they've been giving scholarships to other students who kind of embody the same qualities that Riley
I
had.
love that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I fucking love that her legacy is living on. And so, if you want to learn more about the Riley I. Whitelaw Memorial Fund or make a donation, go to rileywhitelaw.org. And on the website, there is a section where people can leave notes for Riley. And it's so clear how loved she was and the impact she had on so many people. Many of them noted that she was absolutely the best person that they knew,
Wow.
which at 17 is phenomenal.
Yeah,
So I think we should all strive to be more like Riley because kindness definitely matters and the world needs a hell of a lot more of it.
I
So,
agree. Well said.
anyway, so that is the tragic story
Yeah, it is
of
very tragic.
the unnecessary and just heartbreaking murder of Riley Whitelaw.
I hope her mom, Courtney, is doing okay. It's only been 2+ years, but I really hope she's doing okay.
I know, me too.
Man. Well, I'm glad we were able to get some airtime to Riley and keep her memory.
Me too. And I love that so many people are keeping her positivity and her
Yeah.
light lit. Like she just was such a positive force in so many people's lives and
She sounds like a cool, cool young lady.
right?
Yeah.
I know. So,
Well, on that note,
thank you guys for listening. We love and appreciate you guys so much. We thank you for listening, supporting Crime Will Tell, and supporting us while we do what we love doing.
yeah.
But if you guys haven't already done so, please follow us on Instagram or Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any questions, comments, show ideas, whatever, please feel free to send us an email at crimehotelpod@gmail.com. Anyway, we
Yeah.
just love you guys. And with that, goodbye, Carrie.
Goodbye, Jamie.
I love you.
Oh my God, I love you too. You should keep drinking.
Fuck that guy. Look at this.
I don't think I need to.
I wish that this change would come.
All lies. But that's cute.
That don't seem right.
Mom!
Let's go bowling.
Am I wrong? If you are complete by the time you screech into your grave, you done fucked up, girl.
Duly noted.
No quarters. It's totally free.
When it's Shark Week, it's Shark Week around here, you know what I mean?